If there is one thing that I learned through game dev, it's that art is not easy. When I first started out my game, I knew that I would want to keep my art style fairly simplistic, since I don't have an art background. But scope creep and trying to fix minor details in each background got the best of me. The way I approach art, and still do to an extent, is by roughly sketching scenes on paper, copying it over to Photoshop, and then digitizing them layer by layer. When it came to shading, proportions, and color schemes, I would try to think about them intuitively and follow real-world principles. For example, if a bright sun or moon is behind my character, I would add some very light strokes on the outline of my character and make the rest of the body darker, since that is what I've seen in photos that people have taken of me. By practicing art and visualizing real-life examples, I thought that I will be able to learn the concepts and find similar patterns that I could replicate going forward, hopefully speeding up my art process. And, well, while this was true to a certain extent, over time, I realized that this was not going to be sustainable, since there were over 50 scenes that I would have to get through. And although I was fairly satisfied with the end results of my art scenes, I noticed that I would sometimes lack depth perception, and I would spend more time than needed on a particular piece. Even worse, sometimes I would take up entire days just to conceptualize and draw things out. So here's how I'm rectifying this. I vowed to myself that I would learn the concepts, practice creating new art, and fine-tune my previous artwork by adjusting them to the principles I would learn. I'm currently in the process of a Udemy course called Painting Environments by Hardy Fowler. I've linked it in the description below in case anyone is interested in trying it out for themselves. There are so many things that I have learned that I would not have thought of otherwise, such as reducing contrast further out into the horizon and adding mist effects between layers for better depth perception. Now, this in particular stood out to me because before, I prided myself on being a solo developer. I thought I was doing it all, from doing the artwork to the coding to the music. But then I found out that there's a fine line between being independent and shunning valuable resources. I used to think that if I didn't learn something truly by myself, I would never have learned it at all. In a way, I thought that looking at external resources would be a waste of time, since that would be less time spent on actually doing something. But this was a bit of complacency on my part. There is so much I didn't know, and had I not tried out these courses, I would have spent so much more time than needed in the long run. On a similar note, if there's one thing that I wish to continue, it's asking for feedback during the process of sketching scenes. This in particular has helped me change things before I merged layers together and got too deep into things. And this is not to say that it will ever be too late to fix things, but it certainly made things easier early on. And major shout out to my friends and the game dev communities for helping me with this. So all in all, external resources help change my mind on things a bit. It's important to find resources and tips that could be of guidance. It's important to get perspective and feedback from others, especially as a solo developer. But the biggest lesson of all? It's that trying something new could be a lifesaver. I'm starting to understand that it's important to be flexible and ready to change, especially when there's a more efficient method out there. And while I'm still in the middle of the art course, I hope that I can keep you all posted with more updates in the future. So far, I'm really enjoying it. And if you guys end up trying it as well, please let me know in the comments. Till then, thank you for listening, take care, and happy Halloween!